Good morning, Mighty Dolphins. This is Mrs. Hernandez. I'm here to do our math lesson for the day. So what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be talking to you about tenths. So for tenths, we talked yesterday about using the money model. I have a couple of strategies that I want to share with you today. So what I want to look at is how can we represent 7 out of 10? So the first strategy I want to present to you is to make a model. You can do that with a tenths model like this. So for a tenths model like this, you can see that it has 10 parts. To show us 7/10, what we need to do is shade 7 out of those 10. So I am going to shade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that is one way that we can represent 7 out of 10. Okay. Another way that we can represent 7 out of 10 is to use a number line. So here I've created a number line. And on this number line, I have a 0, and then I have the 1 whole. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts in the whole. So what I can do is this part of the number line as a decimal would be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and then 1 whole would be 10/10. Okay, so at 7/10, I would put my dot there on the number line. Okay, so that's using a number line for tenths. Now, strategy 3, I can tell that this color did not show up very well. So I'm going to go over it here. So strategy 3 is to use a place value chart. So we used a place value chart yesterday. It looks like this. And it has 3 parts. I made the decimal nice and big and red right there so that you can see it. So the place value just before the decimal point is the ones place. And then we have the tenths place. And we have the hundredths place. Okay. So for 7/10, we have 0 wholes. So I put a 0 in the ones place. And then we have 7 out of 10. So I put a 7 there. In the hundredths place, I don't have any hundredths. So I can either leave it blank or I could put a 0. Today I'm going to choose to leave it blank. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that we all know how to read a decimal correctly. Okay. So this is how to read a decimal if there is a 0 in the ones place. So there are no wholes. Okay, so if there are no whole numbers, then the first step is read the number after the decimal. So there's no whole numbers. So I read the number that's after the decimal, it's 7. So I say 7. Then we say the number of the place value where the number ends. So the number ends, oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Technical issue. There we go. All right. So you say the name of the place value where the number ends, which is tenths. Okay. So we would say this number 7/10. Okay. So now I want to show you our actual bookwork. So here is the page that we're going to be working on. Okay, so tenths. So example 1, it says Lorena and Rebecca went to 10 horseback riding lessons. 3 of the lessons were outside the barn. What decimal represents the part of the horseback riding lessons that were spent outside? There were 10 horseback riding lessons. 3 out of the 10 lessons were spent outside. 3 out of 10 equal parts means 3/10. So you can see they used a model. So out of the tenths model, they shaded 3. So now we can write 3/10 in the place value chart. So there are 0 wholes, so we put 0, and then there are 3/10. So we read this decimal. Remember, when there's a 0, we say the number after the decimal, 3, and then the place value it ends in tenths. So we read this decimal 3/10, just like we would if it were a fraction. So 3/10, oops, so 3/10 of the horseback riding lessons were outside. Okay, so that's example 1. Okay, example 2. So it says a campground has 10 campsites. 8 of the campsites have campers. The rest are empty. What part of the campground is empty? Write as a decimal, use a number line. So if 8 out of the 10 campsites have campers out of 10, then how many are empty? Well, if 8 are full and there's 10 altogether, we go 9, 10. So there are 2 out of 10 campsites that are empty. So I say if 2 out of 10, if 8 out of 10, I'm going to go ahead and erase that so it doesn't look messy. Sorry about that. So if 8 out of 10 campsites have campers, then 2 out of 10 campsites do not have campers. The number line is divided from 0 to 1 in 10 equal parts. So 2 parts out of 10 equal parts would be on 2/10 in the number line. 2 out of 10 equal parts is 2/10, or we write that as 0.2. So 2/10 of the campground is empty. Example 3 says use words to describe, and then it gives us this decimal, and I'm going to say it as 0.7, but that's not how we read the number, right? So the way that we read it is since there's no whole numbers, we read the number after the decimal, we say 7, and then it ends in the tenths place, so we say 7/10. So the 7 is in the tenths place, so 0.7 is 7/10. 7/10 means 7 out of 10 equal parts. So 7/10 can be described as 7 out of 10. Okay? All right. So now what I want to do is I want to go over a few of the different kind of problems that you're going to see on the assignment today. So for number 1, it says shade the model, then write the decimal. So for number 1, it says 4 out of 10. So if 4 out of 10 need to be shaded, I'm going to shade 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I write that number. There's 0 holes, and then my decimal place, and then I have 4 in the tenths place. So it's 4/10. Okay? And you're going to do the same thing for number 2. You're going to shade in what it says and then write it as a decimal. And you're going to do the same things for number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? I want to show you for number 7, it says write each of the following as a decimal, then graph each point on the same number line. Sorry about that, I did it again. All right. Where's the Zoom meeting? All right. So it says write each of the following as a decimal, then graph each point on the same number line. So number 7, it says 6 out of 10 equal parts. So as a decimal, 6 out of 10 would be 6/10. So that's 0 in the ones place and a decimal point 6. Okay. Now on the number line, I go ahead and I place a point at 0.6. You're going to do the same thing for number 8. You're going to write how you write 9 out of 10 equal parts as a decimal, and then you're going to graph it on the number line. Okay. For numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12, you're going to use words to describe each decimal. So you have to write the decimal in word form. How would you say it in words? So remember, if there's no whole number, then we say the number that's after the decimal, that's 2. And then I say the place value where the number ends. So it ends in the tenths place. So I say 2/10. Okay? So you're going to do the same thing for 10, 11, and 12, and then you're going to go on and complete the word problems on the next page. So your assignment for math today is to complete pages 637 to 640, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.